Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of And Another Thing with Dave. I want to thank all of our listeners from all over the world. Please do subscribe and share if you're not already. All right, let's get into it.
Like think about Facebook, think about Instagram. All these things capitalize on people's need for acceptance.
Yeah, I think it goes deeper than that. I think it might be a design for social engineering, a method to separate and isolate people, you know, a way to keep us apart so that we don't organize.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So one thing that the Canadian government did during this pandemic is that they ruled out, like, you can't go on protest right now, which is your minimum civil rights is to be able to protest. Now you can't do that. Now you go on the street, you gather with a bunch of people, you get arrested. Even that most basic.
My local city did this. My local city passed the same ordinance. I went on their COVID website today, and it says no protesting. I'm like, wow, okay, so no civil liberties? Like, wow. Like, it didn't say protesting 6 feet apart. It says no protesting.
Sure.
Right.
And then I have a huge problem with the existence of COVID, how it came to existence. I'm not. It's not like I don't believe that the virus doesn't exist. No, the virus exists, but where did it come from? How did it come to existence? That I have a lot of question marks on that. And then the other thing is the government response on the pandemic itself. Like, it's extreme, and what is being like, we'll probably find out in 5 to 10 years from today. You know, we'll find out the truth, but we will not find it today. It's not like it's similar to 9/11. 9/11 happened, invasion to Iraq happened.
It'll be 20 years.
Then we found out the answer in 2013, 2014. Yeah, sure, 10, 20 years, sure. But we will not know the answer now.
Well, but some people, exactly, you can't, we won't be able to prove anything yet, but you know what I mean. There's already people digging around that have an idea. And now here's something crazy. Have you heard of Operation Dark Winter?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, so it's a CIA operation testing the release of a biological agent. So
sure.
This is a program the CIA's been working on for fucking 10 years, right? And you remember the anthrax that was involved in 9/11, right?
The anthrax? No.
Yeah.
What is that?
So there was anthrax that was mailed out on 9/11 to different politicians and shit.
Sorry, what do you mean anthrax? I'm not too sure if I understand the word.
It's like a biological weapon.
Oh,
it's a powder.
So
it's a powder.
Okay. So it was mailed to politicians?
Yeah, within the U.S.
Okay.
Well, they found out that the anthrax was made at a U.S. military base.
So again, you got cut off a little bit.
So they found out what? that anthrax was made at a U.S. military base. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
so that proves that it's an inside job, right? So,
listen, I don't really trust the American government. That's to start with, because they did the 9/11, and what is worse, to do something to your own people so that you can gain your own power. So first of all, we have to ask the question.
My theory, brother, is that we released this on our own people again. It's 9/11 number 2, like you're saying. I think it was created in a U.S. military lab and released on the people on purpose so that they could forward the New World Order.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, have you ever watched the video or mini movie called The Plandemic? It kind of surfaced in the beginning of March 2020, and then it got taken out by all the websites.
I'll look it up.
Well, don't look it up on Google because Google have censored it. Search using a different search engine. So first of all, look up search engine, and then find someone that is not well known, and then go to that search engine.
DuckDuckGo is a good one. They don't trace you.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo is where I found it. Yeah. So you'll find the whole video, and it talks. So I mean, if you never watched that, I highly recommend it because they talk in details about how one of the research universities in the United States was involved with a research lab that is located in Wuhan, next to the breakout, like right next to where the breakout happened.
Yes, and
then I think they funded something around
$3.4 million.
Yeah, something around that. I don't exactly remember the number.
Yeah, so you and I are onto it. We know the same facts. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's one, and then number two, some guy on Instagram posted a video of he was looking up COVID-19 response plan. And then COVID-19 response plan was developed. It's public information. You can look it up on Google. It was developed
2018.
2018, something like that. So it's funny.
Oh yeah, exactly.
How would you know? Yeah, how would you know that you're gonna have a virus in 2019? You're gonna have a pandemic, and you have to have a response plan for it, and call it COVID-19 in 2018.
And then, if you're rehearsing it in 2 years in advance, then why are you so slow to roll out any kind of plan? I think they wanted people to catch it.
Well, right? I think we've been talking about. So we saw World War I and World War II, and we were anticipating World War III.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, maybe in the 90s, we were talking about a biological weapon. And now we have COVID. Like if you put two and two together, COVID is a biological weapon. I think it either went out of control and it wasn't planned this way.
No,
or
it was planned.
It was planned this way and we don't know about it. Maybe.
Oh, no, it was. No, you're just not giving these evil bastards enough credit. It was planned to do exactly what it's doing, to take out millions of people worldwide. But who's it taken out? It's taken out the elderly, who were going to cost the healthcare system. It's taken out the homeless, who are a huge problem. It's taken out prisoners. Yep, it's taken out the prisoners, who were a burden on the government, and the prisons were overcrowded, right? So it's like it was designed perfectly almost by some evil genius, right?
Sure. I mean, a group of people. It takes planning.
Right. I'm not saying I condone and agree with that evil genius. I'm just saying I'm hypothesizing that come on, people, we've all seen movies like this, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And right now we're kind of living this. I mean, they start to do it like, okay, 2 weeks out. By the way, it's mostly affecting the United States. It's I have friends in Dubai and Turkey, and they're living normal lives. Like there is no lockdown in Dubai whatsoever. In Iraq, there is no lockdown.
Right. So that brings up another point. So there's more deaths here. We said it started in Wuhan. I call bullshit. I think we developed it in Wuhan, but I think we released it here. Because here is the epicenter, Brooklyn, New York.
Sure.
Right? So if it started in Wuhan, why isn't that the epicenter?
I have no answer to that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right?
And I think there is another thing that has been talked about, in the past couple of years, which is what is it? A minimum payment that everybody was going to get, whether they work or not. It's not social
Right.
welfare; it's something else.
Universal basic income.
Yeah, universal basic income. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So, what's that about?
Well, and
I
they
mean,
have to do this because check this out. Automation is coming around. So this is something nobody's talking about. 50% of all non-skilled jobs are driving jobs, right?
okay,
And basically, we already have self-driving cars. So they're kind
sure.
of just stalling it to like, what the fuck are we going to do with all these people that are out of work, right?
I mean,
And
they
then
can even here's the point. If you pay everybody $2,000, is
boom,
everybody
yeah.
better off, or are you really creating a new $2,000 inflation? Because if everybody will have $2,000 in their pocket, then there's no difference between people, whether they work or not.
Yeah, see, that's my problem with the universal basic income is you can't give somebody who's rich that money, right? That makes no sense. Exactly, because then you create the system you just said. Um, so it has to be allocated to the people who need it, right?
Sure.
And so I don't know why we have such a problem with welfare in the United States because we give corporations welfare all the fucking time, right? We
Tax
give them,
relief in form of tax relief.
thank you, tax incentives, tax breaks, tax reliefs. There's a number of ways of saying it, but we basically give them millions of dollars of incentives to do business in wherever. So, it's such a double standard because we have socialism for corporations, but then rugged individualism for people. We got another message.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do we support Israel? That's a pretty stupid question.
Why do you think it's stupid?
Toby McGuire, chime on in. Why do you think that's a stupid question? So the reason I put this up here is because we're giving Israel $3.4 billion in aid. Meanwhile, we've got a massive homeless epidemic in this country. Shouldn't we spend that money at home first?
That's like asking, why do I feed my guard dog?
Yo, dude, Saudi Arabia is our guard dog as well. So, I think Israel's doing just fine. We don't need to give them a ton of weapons. They're doing just fine over there, right? And they are our guard dogs. Why? Because we have their back. And if we didn't have their back, they'd be wiped off the map.
They wouldn't exist.
So
Yeah, they
they
wouldn't
wouldn't
exist.
exist. So we should
They should pay you.
leverage we should leverage our relationship more, right? They need us more than we need them. So why don't we act like it? They're not giving us any money. We're giving them a fuck ton of money in a downed economy when we have a homeless epidemic. And I'm sorry, I'm not down with that.
Man, fuck the homeless. Money's not going to help them. Money would probably kill them, which would probably be better for everyone. Fuck homeless people. Fuck people on fucking benefits.
Texas Hammer, we were just talking about most corporations are getting more benefits than people are. So, and I don't know. So we didn't used to have homeless people. This is what most Americans don't get. Back in the 1940s, people that made over $200,000 a year After they made 200,000, they were taxed 90%. Corporations were taxed 90%. We didn't have homelessness. We were building new roads and parks and infrastructure and railroads ever since then. And that's what led to, what Donald Trump called Make America Great Again. That's what led to it, is taxing the fuck out of the rich and corporations. That led to the 50s and the 60s and created the middle class in America, which the whole world looked at as a success. So the way we got there was by taxing the rich and the corporations.
Corporations make money for the investor class and the elites and the people that matter.
Okay, corporations make money for the investor class and the elites. For the top 10%.
Not even with 10%. 1% of the 1%.
The top 1%, ideally. So, Mr. Texas Hammer, I hope you live in a gated community, and I hope you have an AR-15 with a scope on it, because the way you're talking, you better be living, you better be protecting your castle, because people are going to come storm it eventually, dude, if that's the way you want our society to be, because you're talking about living in a third world society. And, what made America great? Better taxation is what made America great.
Okay. So it is a man eat man world out there. And we do this because those that are higher than us put that within us, instills that within us, to divide, to conquer, to think that someone's weakness means that they're unworthy of living within society. Because someone falls down on their luck, that means they can no longer be treated as an equal human being. They don't deserve food on their table. They don't deserve heat in their house. They don't deserve water running throughout their faucets. That means they're less than a human being because they fell upon hard times. Are we really, is that where we are as a people? That we saying fuck homeless people? If we cared about each other more, our society would be better. Because you're only as strong as your weakest link. Amen. And that's the truth.
Demand, thank you. Word. No, I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I'm going to give a couple quotes here. I'm going to give it back to you. Give me 1 sec, no Metal Gear. I got to finish this thought process or I'm going to lose it. But this is important, right? Unless we do something, we're living in an oligarchy right now with the largest separation of wealth in American history ever. The Gilded Age back in the 20s was a horrible separation of wealth. We have surpassed that now, right? And we acknowledged that was a dark point in American history where what we called the banksters and the baron robbers were oppressing all of the working class. Well, we're living in a worse state right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and we can't even get our politicians to give us fucking health care? Are you kidding? We're the only industrialized nation in the world without universal health care? We're the only industrialized nation in the world without free college education? And why do we not have free college education? Because they want to keep us stupid, they want to keep us divided, and they want to be able to conquer us. It's a simple plan. It's the oldest trick in the book, divide and conquer. And no Metal Gear, I want to throw it back to you here. Didn't Iraq have free college education before we bombed the fuck out of it?
I mean, it still does. There is free college education and free healthcare.
Still, even after we bombed the fuck out of it.
Yeah. You can go to any. I mean, back in the 1960s and the 1950s, we forever had free college education and free healthcare for everybody, whether they are citizens or visitors. So people from neighboring countries would come to Iraq to get healthcare, and then they would go back to their country. That's how it was.
Wow. So you're just taking care of other people because you had such a flourishing economy.
Yeah, I mean, everything was for free. We had a lot of people coming from neighboring countries to study in our universities, to get healthcare, and then they would come study and then go for free.
And so
$0, zero
and so
dinars.
this is what people don't understand. Well, you know what every American says? How are we going to pay for it? Well, this is something people can't comprehend. Iraq.
Bear in mind, there is no tax in Iraq. Like the
Well,
dollars that you make, you keep.
You're kidding me.
No, there is no tax in Iraq. You
I
don't
get
pay any
taxed.
tax to the government.
I get taxed 25% of my income.
Yeah, that's not there. Yeah.
25%.
I mean, so by the way, taxation even in America, it got introduced in the First World War, and then
Right.
it was when it was first introduced, it was introduced under the notion that it was going to be for 1 year, but then the government liked the money, and then they basically passed a law that everybody will have to pay taxes from that point on, and then ever since taxation has been increasing.
Dude, you know more about American government than most Americans. We got 2 more messages. I'm going to hit them right now.
Yeah.
I mean, then go fucking live in Iraq. America has 400 million people. So, like, what other industrial nation has 400 million people?
Hey, Texas
I mean,
Hammer, Hey, Texas Hammer, have you heard of India? Have you heard of China?
80 billion people.
They got a fuck ton of people, and their economy has surpassed us. They showed us how you can take people out of poverty and raise them into a middle class, as people in our society are falling from middle class into poverty. So, like, while you're waving your American flag about dirt, 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 like, what are we doing well in America right now, Mr. Hammer? Let me know. Like, I'm not hating on America. I'm just saying, you seem to be waving the flag. So you just tell me, what are we the best at?
I'm not a genius on world affairs, but I'm pretty sure Iraq is a shithole.
Oh, I think you're mistaken. I can talk about that aspect. So Iraq now.
Let me talk on
let
it,
me just
because you know why? He's racist, so he's gonna hear it better
no
from me.
no that's no, he's not. I don't take it
All
in
right, you go.
racism and whatnot. That doesn't bother me. But
Okay, you go, man. You tell this guy.
yeah, I mean, so Iraq was doing really good in terms of education, healthcare, all the way to 2003. There was absolutely nothing wrong with Iraq. Everybody was living just fine. We make less dollars, but at the same time, it takes us too little dollars to live off of. So you make, for example, $5 a day, you can live off using $3. We don't make 2,000 and then live off 1,500. So it's the same equation. And then after that, after 2003, which is when the United States came to Iraq, it was a whole corrupt system, and billions and billions of dollars in which it is spent. So here's the thing: United States lend Iraq money to rebuild, right? So let's say, for example, they lend Iraq $100 million. 50 million or 60 million goes into corruption, and then 40 million it still goes into corruption in the Iraq. But 60 million, 60% of it goes to the official people, official American people in Iraq.
Yeah.
So they get a cut out of any dollar that goes into Iraq. That's to start.
Right. That's part of the rebuild, and this is let me break that down a little bit more, because some people don't understand how this works, right? So we'll give Iraq $100 million to rebuild, or $100 billion to rebuild, but that contract will have to be with an American company like Halliburton.
Sure.
So
Sure.
so basically, what the American government is giving a no bid contract. It's backroom dealing. It's corruption at its worst.
It's repaying
And,
itself.
and
Yeah, it's repaying itself.
and using war to do it. So it's fucking blood money. So this is disgusting.
Not only that, but and then on the other side, they get the benefit of getting extremely cheap oil because of the contract that Iraq has with the United States right now. They get it for maybe even less than half the price of the advertised oil of Iraq. So they are triple dipping.
Do you know? Yeah, no, let me break that down for you too, because I got the stats on this. So Iraq, after the invasion, Iraq ended up getting 25 cents on the dollar for its own oil. So they only get 25% of the revenue generated from their own oil. So that is why we invaded Iraq. It has nothing to do with anything else. And anybody's going to say, like, well, Iraq's a backward ass country. Dude, Iraq was the cradle of civilization. It's the oldest, maintained civilization in history. The Tigris and Euphrates River, this is where civilization was born. So y'all need to fucking go back to school.
There is a YouTube video called "The Cradle of Civilization." Watch it. It talks about Iraq and Mesopotamia and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
And how civilization first started. Where did it first start? So by the way, there is a lot of people that don't know Iraq is actually Mesopotamia.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is this. What we're talking about here is a World Heritage Site that we should be protecting, and we bombed when we fucked up that country using depleted uranium, I might add, toxifying it for 1,000 years. We bombed cultural heritage sites.
The video that I told you about of Dahlia, she talks about depleted uranium being used in American war arms.
Oh yeah. There's a great documentary for anybody listening, Beyond Treason.
Beyond Treason?
Beyond Treason. And what this is, it interviews all these different people. It interviews the guy the U.S. sent to test for biological and chemical weapons. He ended up becoming sick with the Gulf War syndrome. So then he ended up investigating it, and what the Gulf War syndrome is that the U.S. military blew up because, like I said, we supplied Iraq with chemical weapons and biological weapons back in the 80s, like I said. So what the Gulf War syndrome is we blew up those chemical and biological weapon sites, and we didn't tell our own soldiers that were downwind to get out of the way. That's what Gulf War syndrome is.
I'm looking up that Gulf War syndrome. I've never heard of it.
That's what the Gulf War syndrome is. And nobody will talk about it because it's our own government committing a war crime against our own soldiers.
India and China are your examples? Holy shit. They're not even people over there. They're fucking insects.
Texas
okay,
Hammer.
I don't think you need to answer that. Really.
Texas Hammer, you got to check yourself. If you call any human an insect, then you don't have a right to live or breathe on this planet. And I can't wait until these quote unquote insects swarm upon you, bro.
Dude, you just took that fucking book and you started to read. And another thing, dude, I'm vibing. I'm fucking loving the vibe.
Hell yeah.
You are telling the truth. At the end of the day, they get power off our divide. When you have an open hand, it is not as strong as a closed fist. And once people realize that this surpasses religion, sexuality, race, and faith, the minute that we realize that we are all human beings trying to obtain the regular dream of doing what we love, being with the people that we love, and loving the life that we live, the moment that we realize that as a people, and then realize that we're being played like a fiddle, is the moment that we will gain power. But until then, we'll just stay the way we are.
Bam.
Sure.
Demand. Rise up. What's up, people? Did you hear that, people? Oh my
That was
God.
crazy. On point.
the-
On point.
She's the princess singing the ballad of the revolution right there. That's what that was. That was the ballad of the revolution. That's what I'm gonna call it. That's what I'm gonna call it. And that's exactly what it is. Divide and conquer. It's the oldest fucking trick in the book, and it's fucking bullshit. And I call it out. I see it. I see it. I see you, Donald Trump, for playing to these fucking racist motherfuckers, calling them out of the woodwork. You know, I see you, fucking Bill Clinton, for selling out the fucking Democratic Party, for making it Republican, for doing away with Glass-Steagall, allowing banks to crash our economy. That's what led to 2008. Thank you, Bill Clinton, you fucking Epstein pervert bastard. And what else did he do? The 1994 crime bill with Bill Clinton, which flooded our prisons, and that's right after they passed a bill that would make prisons for profit. So not many people know this either, but the Bush family is the largest owner of for-profit prisons in the country.
Oh, I didn't know
So,
that. I didn't know that.
yep. So check it. So fuck Bush, fuck Obama, fuck Clinton, fuck Trump, fuck Biden, fuck them all. We need a third party. We need a third party to get together every disenfranchised group that exists, right? Working class people. I don't give a fuck what color you are. I don't care who you fuck. I don't care what bathroom you use. That doesn't fucking matter. These are all stupid conversations that were brought up to divide us and to keep us from the shit that's important. Like, let me talk about my money. Let me talk about my money. Let's talk about the money. Why don't we have healthcare? The only industrialized nation in the country with no fucking healthcare. The only industrialized nation in the fucking world without fucking free college education. And why? Because no free college education, well, then you can't take that one very important class, which is called critical thinking, right? It's a required English class. Critical thinking. Then you learn how to
Sure.
decipher when people are fucking bullshitting you. Then you learn that the media is all a bullshit manipulation mechanism to
Sure.
further divide and conquer us. And then you learn that the media is all owned by corporations which want to keep us divided and conquered.
There you said it. 60 million goes into corruption. It's a corrupt state full of corrupt people. Why is that a good example? India, there's no bathrooms. It's shitty life. Very bad hygiene. China, they're all slaves.
Texas Hammer, wow, you are showing your redneckness, man, bro, dude. I'm so sorry for your limited outlook, because China's about to surpass our ass. You know, India's got the largest population in the world, so like, Why would you not want to help those people have a better life? Why are you shitting on them? Like, the fuck makes you so great? What do you do that helps anybody, Mr. Texas?
So, how do you know that the oil is very cheap for USA from Iraq? The fuck, man.
Estes,
Well,
Estes, Estes. Let me answer this real quick. So the oil is not cheap in the U.S., and that's the fucked up thing. But what I so you misunderstood what I said. Iraq used to get all the money from their oil, 100%. Now Iraq only gets 25% of that, right?
and
And
then
there's
the
a bunch of
75% goes into the United States, to the corporation
to
of the
the
United States.
well, not necessarily. There's a Chinese company, there's a Russian company, but it's all oil companies. It got
No,
all
no,
of
no.
I all of
All goes to the United States. Iraq is not allowed to sell their oil only to the United States.
seriously?
Yeah, I mean, so it's my dad was the
Oh
minister of
shit.
oil in the
Oh
60s
shit.
and the 70s.
So then we get to make all the money on selling all of your oil.
Yeah, I mean, Iraq can only sell oil through the United States.
Oh shit.
That's by contract. Yeah.
Oh shit. Did you people hear that? Texas Hammer, did you hear that?
Anyone heard about the son of Hamas? Son of Hamas.
What?
The sounds.
What did you
Can
say?
you repeat that? What was I heard something about Hamas. Yeah, I'm down with Hamas. They're an organization. So in the United States, we're told that Hamas is a terrorist organization, right? But in reality, it's just a political grassroots organization to defend their own people and their own place against
Yeah, I
imperial
mean,
nations. So
the reason why it's defined as a terrorist organization is because they are against Israel, and then Israel and Hamas, they keep bombing each other. But that just makes Israel as much of a terrorist organization as Hamas.
right,
They bomb each other.
but nobody talks about that. Nobody ever.
Well, nobody talks about Israel 40 years
No,
ago. Wasn't Israel?
no.
It was Palestine. Go check
Thank
40
you.
years old maps. You go, you see Palestine. There was no Israel in the map.
Thank
Israel,
you.
I think, but now you're depending on Google Maps because Google Maps is the go-to map, and now they changed it from Palestine to Israel. That's what it is.
Well, I'm gonna find a documentary for some people here because there's something that everybody needs to know, and that is that Israel, like you were saying, didn't even exist before the United Kingdom wrote this thing called the Balfour Declaration.
Oh, of
And
course,
then
yeah. Before declaration,
they
yeah.
then they quote
They
unquote
they
gave
they
Palestine
agreed. They
to
agreed.
Israel.
Yeah. In the absence of the Arab world, in the absence of the Arab people. So basically,
Exactly.
I give you somebody else's money.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't even know you, but I'm gonna give Joe Bob over here. I'm gonna give him your house.
No, you're gonna give
Hang on one.
Texas guy. You're gonna give him.
Hang on one sec. Hang on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah. So who do we have here? Who do we have online? Razor, GG Juice, Demand, Thousands. Texas Hammer, you're still here? Hmm. Live listeners.
Talking about the son of Hamas, because before there's a leader in the leader of the Hamas. He has a son, and this prince, he wants the father wants him to be to be the next leader of Hamas that was in Palestine. So what happened is like when there's like a United Nation, like all country like hate the Israel. Like I mean, they don't like Israel. They complain about attacking and blah blah blah. And then there is the son of Hamas. He was talking to like I mean, in front of many countries there in United Nations that he said my father is something like he betrayed his father. So that's it. Like I mean, I'll give you the link. How can I give the link so that if you guys don't know it, I'll give it to you. But how can I give it?
Just name the link or the name of the article or the video on YouTube or something. That should suffice.
Hi, my name's Gina. I'm from the UK. Where are you from?
Hi, Gina. I'm from Canada, and my friend here, and another thing is from California.
I just followed Dave, whoever Dave here. I just followed your Instagram, or is it Instagram or Twitter? I think Instagram, right? I sent you the link. Yeah. If you didn't watch that yet, check that out. That is the son of Hamas. That is the son of the leader of the Hamas before, and he betrayed his father. He just said about what is real on their groups.
So
Dig it.
you're saying that the son of Hamas betrayed his father and went with Israel? Can you repeat the name of the link, please, if you're still here?
So as far as I know it, so I'm back. So as far as I know it, Hamas is a grassroots political organization to rise up against the oppression against the government of Israel. Right? And as we all know, Israel keeps expanding its territory through what's called settlements, right? And these are illegal settlements, and they're basically going into other people's country and building, a village. So where else in the world would this be permitted, right? Like when South Africa, when that what's the word for it?
What's with
When
South
that's
Africa?
separatist society, what do you call that? When it's a
Segregated society? What do you mean?
yeah, exactly. Like, what do you call that? Like, there's a word for it that's escaping me right now. But, but like South Africa, like the whole world looked down on that because it was a segregated society, and the black South Africans didn't have any rights within their own country, and it's a bunch of fucking Danish people that moved there that
Oh, I
had all the
see. Yeah.
rights, right? So it's the same fucking thing in Israel.
Sure. I mean, Israel became Israel after the Second World War, after Hitler have made the genocide against the Jewish people and whatnot. So then the issue with Jewish people is that they are dispersed across large lands. We had a lot of Iraqi Jewish people, and they lived. We had a lot of Iraqi Jewish people. They lived in Iraq and in Turkey and in Iran. They also, a lot of them lived in Europe as well. So when the genocide happened in Second World War, and they liberated them, the Allied forces liberated them. After that, the people who are leaders amongst the Jewish people, in which are the Israelis, they wanted to centralize where they reside. So then the Balfour contract happened, and then they decided to go to Palestine. So basically, they went to Palestine. They purchased some lands there, and then after that, they started bullying Palestinians out of their homes and conquering
and taking more and more
taking over.
Taking more and more and more and more and more and more land, and then establishing a government that was based on taking more and more and more and more and more and more land. Right? It's been a terrorist organization.
It's like the indigenous people versus the settlers in America when first America came about.
Exactly. So the government of Israel has been a terrorist organization ever since its founding, and the English government had no legal basis to give Palestine to the Jewish people. So the whole thing is bullshit.
I give it to
Sure.
Dave, I'm proud of you. I just send you the link, and then you can play if you guys want. It's a good one. It's a good one. What I'm saying is the leader of Hamas, and here comes the son, and this the leader wants to be the next leader is the son, and the son he betrayed his father. He told everything what's going on. I'll give you. There's a documentary for him. I don't. I'll give it to you later.
Yeah, let us know the
Okay,
documentary. Sure.
I think I looked him up. His name is Mus'ab Hassan Yusuf, and his nickname is the Green Prince. And he was working as an undercover for Israeli Internal Security Service from 1979 to 2007.
Oh shit! There you go.
But I mean that
Got to be so careful of that shit,
whether
right?
whether he betrayed his father or not, that doesn't. I mean, that doesn't negate that the Israelis actually took over Palestine and then they displaced people from their homes.
No, and it doesn't forgive that. And there's still to this day, there's 800,000 people that have not been allowed to come home.
Yes, bro. Yeah, it is. That's him. Musa Masam. I mean, play the one when he speak in the nation, like United Nation. You know, he has no title that time. Mostly like all the country, every country that time. But him, it's different.
Mm-hmm. Did you
Maybe.
understand that?
He was saying that the guy he was talking about earlier, he thinks that guy's message is deeper. You know, we'd have to check out the documentary, but he hasn't sent us a link yet. So send us a link, we'll check out the documentary. But until then, yeah,
For
I
sure.
don't know, man. There's a history.
I mean, Palestine right now has decreased in size about down to 15%. So imagine the United States. Everybody gets displaced out of their homes, and then you get to live in one of the states, for example.
Yeah,
that's literally what happened.
Imagine it would be the equivalent of the whole United States is now like California,
condensing in New York,
Oregon, and Washington.
Sure.
Right? That's crazy.
Okay, I'll tell you what is happening there. Like, I mean, his father, before, like, I mean, he made something like a setup. They make a setup like a soldier, which is they they were a soldier of Israel, but that's not Israelites. So what happened? This fake Israelites with the soldier uniform, they captured the father, which is what happened. Like, he is teaching the son to hate the Israel. That's what I'm saying. So of course, if you're the son, then they kidnap your dad. Of course, you will get mad, right? So what he thinks, like, I mean, the one who kidnapped, just like a setup, so that he will get mad to the Israel, because this guy, he is not hating other country if there's nothing wrong happen. So that's what happened. Like, I mean, when he find out that it was set up, then that's the thing. I'm sorry, I have a sore. It's hard to talk, but what's the one is good. It's so good.
Yeah, I think he was working as an undercover Israeli. So the son of Hamas, the son of Hamas leader, became an undercover for, like, he was working for the Israeli Internal Security. You can look that up. It's on Wikipedia. And then he exposed numerous. And then he betrayed his father because he was exposing Hamas cells, and he was assisting the Israelis against Hamas, essentially. So basically, they sent him to help Hamas, but then he ended up flipping on Hamas. That's what happened.
Because he was an inside agent, double agent. to begin with.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean,
So he
money can. But
he was
the reality is, money can buy anything. So he probably went
right.
to Israel, and then he thought that, oh, life in Israel is much better, and he is well off here, and he doesn't need to go back to Hamas and this and that. So he started praying.
Or the CIA paid him off.
Yeah.
To change.
I mean,
his
paid him
tune.
off, or yeah, for sure.
Paid him off, threatened him. Either one, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I just want to also touch base on something really important. So
please.
we were talking like earlier, maybe an hour ago or something. We were talking about what is the value of America and so on, and how did America came about. America was really built on slaves. If there were no slaves, there wouldn't be any Americans.
That's right.
That's the reality. So, and then
That's the
it still
reality.
happens. It's just right now. There, by the way, there is a lot of background noise from your end, I believe.
I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yeah. So it's back. But anyways, what I was saying is, now the slavery is no longer work for slavery. Now it's financial slavery.
Right.
So what the Americans do best is that they ignite other places in the world so that they become unstable. And then what they do is that they open the immigration for them. And then they tell them, well, we fucked up your country. Now you want to leave your country because your country is fucked up now and you don't want to live there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And now they get the best of the best, the cream of the crop. They get the doctors, the engineers, the highly educated people. And they come here, and those people, they tell the rest to fuck off. They don't care, right? But then these people come here and they get integrated into the society. It takes them 10 to 15 years to get the American passport. They have to work and live and become part of the civilization. As they're living, they're living with their family, so they're becoming part of the system. So then how this is happening? Yeah, I mean, watching the news and so on. But then the point is, they're becoming productive members of society to further build this big machine. To further increase the American ROI, return on investment.
And
they
also
put some money.
Also the myth, right? Because now these people think, oh my God, the American dream, yes. But they were the cream they were the cream of the crop that was hand-picked, right? So the American dream doesn't exist for your working class. But now these people are going to go toot the horn of like, oh, America, 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 right?
Sure. I mean, it's very hard for anybody to come to America. It's not that easy, by the way. Because for you to come to America, you either have to have $100,000 in the bank, or you have, some kind of a degree, or a lawyer, or you're an engineer, or you're a doctor, or you're a nurse, and so on. And then they might consider you. So then when you come here, first thing you have to do is you have to think about the system. By the way, the background noise is amazing. Wow. I think
there's background noise right now.
It's a feedback. It's like when I talk, it comes back, and then when I stop talking, it goes away.
How's that? Is that better?
I think so. No, it's coming back still.
God damn it.
Okay.
How about there?
Let's see. Oh yeah, much better. Yeah, now it's gone. Okay. So yeah, I was saying, when they come here, think about what people do. When these engineers, when these doctors, they come here, they have to spend 4 to 8 years to accredit their university degree, which they already have. It's not like the science is different. The science is the same. A doctor here is the same as the doctor in Iraq. It's the same material. So then, yeah, and these
algebra
guys,
hasn't changed, right?
what's that?
Algebra hasn't changed, right?
Algebra hasn't changed, engineering, physics hasn't changed. Yeah, exactly. But then these guys have to go through the system to be able just to work within their field. So they come and then they have to work to support themselves and so on and so forth. I'm not talking about the bottom 20% which come here and sit to eat from the welfare system, whatever. Those people are the bottom feeders. I'm talking about the people who came through the immigration system, not through the rehoming. Right. What is it called?
Right. Not refugees.
Refugees, yeah. So all these people are creating value when they come here. Like first of all, they have to spend money to live those 8 years, and then after those 8 years, they're working, they're providing, they're building businesses, they're starting businesses, they're paying taxes, and so on. So it's the perfect business case for the Americans, for the United States, for the government itself, because it is making the country as a whole better. So it's perfect. Go screw up Iraq. We'll pay ourselves from the contracts that we get, and then we will get dirt cheap oil, and then we get cheap labor that come here. They're already well educated. We'll make them pay again because they have to go to school again to get accredited, and then they'll start working after 8-10 years.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Tell me that's not. Tell me that's not an oppressive system. We got a couple messages. Let's hit these real quick.
Go. Yeah. I take the floor on behalf of the UN Watch. My name is Mus'ab Hassan Yusuf. I grew up in Ramallah as a member of Hamas. I address the words to the Palestinian Authority, which claims to be the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. I ask, where does your legitimacy come from? The Palestinian people did not elect you, and they did not appoint you to represent them. You are self-appointed. Your accountability is not to your own people. This is evidenced by your own total violation for their human rights. In fact, the Palestinian individual and their human development is the least of your concerns. You kidnap Palestinian students from campus and torture them in your jails. You torture your political rivals. The suffering of the Palestinian people is the outcome of your selfish political interest.
All right, thanks for tuning in to another episode and Another Thing with Dave. Please follow, subscribe, and share. I'm on all social media and Another Thing with Dave. And keep seeking the truth.